Welcome to another episode of the Starter Girls Podcast with your host, Jennifer Loading.
And Brianna Drelis. And together we are the Starter Girls.
Where extraordinary decisions produce extraordinary results. These are our friends, these are your friends, and they are living the extraordinary. Today's episode is brought to you by Walt Mills Photographer of Glad Models Agency. If you are here in the Dallas or surrounding area and looking for some photography work, check out Walt Mills. You can learn more about him and his work at photosbywalt.com.
And head over to startergirls.com. We have a free gift for you there. We want to keep in touch outside of this podcast. And we also have something that's going to help you up-level those decision-making skills. So head over to startergirls.com right now and pick that up today.
All right, today's a great day to be brave. You might as well start now. You have the power to change your circumstances any day you decide. Let today be that day. Rise up, be amazing, be you, do you. All right, my friends. We are super excited to get started today. I am super thrilled for our guest today to get him on the show. This is going to be so much fun. So before we do this, I've got to tell our audience a little bit about John Thomas Griffith. This is going to be awesome. Yes. Hailing from Lubbock, Texas, JTG is a certified Texas guitarist, singer, and songwriter. A vibrant imagination has made him a jewel in a long line of Texas troubadours.
Yeah.
In 2001, JTG was inducted into the Buddy Magazine Texas Guitar Players Hall of Fame. He's also a founding member of both Red Rockers. Okay, so I was around back then. So I remember when MTV launched and all of this. So think 1983 MTV hit China and New Orleans Cowboy Mouth, which is one of my favorite bands. Louisiana Music Hall of Fame inductees in 2010. He has toured with the likes of Joan Jett, Men at Work, the Go-Gos, and U2, just to name a few, all great bands. With over 20 albums recorded collectively, JTG also has 3 solo albums under his belt, Son of an Engineer, Aluminum, and Apples and Onions, and is currently working on his 4th. He also owns his own production studio and a film and TV library and licensing company, which is isourcemusic.com. So welcome to the show. We are super excited to have you here today.
Good to see you guys, man.
Great
Brianna,
to have you.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Ladies, good to see you.
Absolutely. We told you, see, the bio is the best part of the day. We have to read those because we got to get like that stuff out there, you know? We got to know who we're talking to.
Nobody really knows your story,
That's right.
half the time, especially when you're playing in a band like Cowboy Mouth and it's pretty much highlighted on your singer.
Yeah.
So, you fly under the radar.
Yeah, well, Fred's a lot there, but we know who you are too, and it's an awesome band, and we love the music, and it's all good. So
I appreciate it.
I have to tell the audience really quick because Chris and Brianna know this story, but so I don't even know what year this was, but Cowboy Mouth opened for Bret Michaels. Maybe you know the year. That was my first experience.
I remember,
Yep.
That was like in Oklahoma or Nebraska.
Y'all came here in Texas too. Y'all were here. I can't remember what year it was, but because I love Bret Michaels. I'm a Poison fan because, I'm a 80s kid. And you guys opened up, and I remember going to this concert, and I was like, who is this band, and why do I not know who they are? Like, how have I missed Cowboy Mouth? And we left out of there and became like instant fans. And so I think I pretty much have seen you guys every time you've come down to the Texas area. I've like, okay, Cowboy Mouth's in town. We got to go. So, yes. And I have to tell the listeners, go check them out. They're like I don't even know how to put it into words. It's like an experience. You just have to kind of be there to see it.
So much fun.
Well, if you grew up in the South, especially like Texas or deep South, like where Fred and I grew up, you're used to seeing, it's commonplace to see these tent revivals on the side of the road, in the middle of nowhere, on a Saturday night or whatever. And it's akin to kind of like a snake oil salesman, kind of thing. It's hokey, but people are digging it. They're like, it's packed, and they're all hands in the air, and they're speaking tongues. It's
Red
crazy.
Spoons.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Which
That's
is one of his songs.
Growing up in Baptist church, Southern Baptist church, like I did. Fred went to a Jesuit high school, and the religious thing kind of got. We tried to get far away from it as we could, I guess, when we were younger, and so that's kind of we don't really. We just want to be positive, everything's got to, Fred, I got to say, in the early days, he was kind of negative on stage. Tended to be, and Paul Sanchez and I really worked on him to really stay positive, and he started reading positive books and stuff on the internet, and just made you could see the change in him go. You could see his wheels turning. He's like, okay, I can catch more flies with honey than I can with shit, So that was it, and so it's been that way ever since. Probably to early 2000s, he's really focused on being positive, even writing songs that were, The Avenue and Power of Love. They're beautiful songs, But, so that's where it comes from. That's
Yeah.
kind of how we,
And that's how I would put it without religious
support
music.
each other,
Yeah. It's a
we
very,
support each other that way. So
Empowering.
yeah. You leave out of there like fired up, excited, and sweaty.
Oh, sounds
I
like
mean,
a
the
party
first,
to
the
me.
first rehearsal we had was in this big warehouse that we'd all known forever. And Fred had his drum, and I had a little amp about this big. And I kind of looked at it and said, "That's what you guys are going to want me to play through." I kind of was like joking, and so we hit the first song, and it was so exciting. It was so high intense. It was "Why You Want to Do Me Like You Do, Like You Do." I don't know if you know that song, but it's high intensity, upbeat, and we all looked at each other and went, "Damn, that was pretty fun. That was like awesome." And so I told Fred, I turned to Fred, I said, "Fred, well, I'm going to bring about an amp about 6 times this size tomorrow, so don't worry about it. It's going to be loud." Because you have to be loud to be up against his drums. You got to have a loud guitar.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so awesome. Well, I want to kind of back this up a little bit because you have had, I'm looking at your notes and going through everything. You've had this lengthy, expansive career in the music world, and I think this is incredible. So kind of take us back. How did you get into this to begin with? I mean, was this like a childhood, like I know like I've asked Brianna that question. Like, did you just come out and you're like singing and this was going to be your thing or no?
Yeah, I kind of had a feeling when I was playing piano that there was something amiss, something's going on. It wasn't until I moved to New Jersey, and I really wanted to. I was taking classical piano lessons, and for forever, and I was getting tired of it, and I wanted to go into popular songs like Billy Joel and Barry Manilow and all kinds of guys, Elton John, and I got with this popular music teacher, and he kind of started turning me on to like pop music and jazz, and then I wound up moving to. I got a great story. My father brought home this African American man to dinner one night. He'd come over a couple times before, and my mom would always go, "Hey, John, why don't you go, John Thomas, go play something on the piano for Mr. Miller." His name was Glenn Miller, which was a great name. And I remember this one time, the last time he was there, he sat down on a bench next to me, and he said, when you play blues in Barrel House, you play the third flat, and it sounds like this. He showed me that, and I freaked out. I mean, it was like the doors of heaven just opened up, and I just that alone just set me off, and I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. That was a really good moment when he showed me that little riff.
Wow.
And explained it to me, and I was like, "Damn, where have you been all my life?"
Well, and did you feel like, how old were you at around that time?
I was about 15, because I moved to New Orleans when I was 15, and it was right before I moved to New Orleans from New Jersey.
I guess the way, and when I was young and wanting to sing, wanting to do, whether it was musical theater or whatever it might be, I thought it was like a pipe dream. Like there's no way I'm going to be Whitney Houston or who, you know what I mean? Like, and then obviously at the time, the record labels really held the keys to, and this was all my perception, right? And so I'm wondering, you at 14, like, did you think it was possible? like that you could actually like have a career as a musician, like, and do like what you're doing today, like where you're at today? Did you see that? Did you see that or think that was possible?
I kind of I visualized it. Yeah. I wanted to be a guitar player, and uh, I loved ZZ Top. I loved all the great guitar players: Jimmy Page, Billy Gibbons, Eric Clapton, Jimi Hendrix, and then a bunch of more. But uh, I remember that I was writing songs. In my senior year of high school, we went on a senior cruise down in the Bahamas on Royal Caribbean, and one night they had a talent show, and all my buddies and everything. I'd written this song, and it was kind of cheesy, like Barry Manilow-esque. And they said, "Hey man, why don't you get in the talent show and play that song?" So I did, and I wound up winning, and it kind of inspired me to kind of, oh wow, okay, it's not a shitty song that bad, They actually kind of liked it. Okay, we're on to something. And then that I kind of got away from piano because I wanted to play guitar. But I still played piano, but guitar was more my focus. So when the punk movement came along, right when I was getting out of high school, a buddy of mine in high school began researching punk bands from New York City, London, LA, and so we really got involved in like the punk kind of movement. And we wanted to be a punk band because we really didn't know how to play. We really didn't know how to play guitar. I mean, James could barely play chords. I mean, when we first started, the first practices in the first year, and I could only do stuff like that would be the only lead I could muster. So it was really bare bones, scaled down, and we finally found a bass player, and we created Red Rockers because we wanted to do. We kind of wanted to mimic stuff. We knew that punk was a kind of a DIY thing. You do yourself, and it was. You don't have to worry about the big record companies. You didn't have to. We just put on a single, and put it out yourself, pay for it yourself, and you own it. And that's how we started.
Wow.
Just like winging a prayer.
Holy
We
cow.
we never even thought about it for a moment. We just did stuff to make it happen, I guess.
Yeah.
That's like OG style, like DIY. Like you're
Yeah.
like the OGs of DIY. That is insane.
Yeah, you're
I
selling
can't
shit
even.
out of your trunk, at
Wow.
the show.
That's
That kind
amazing.
of stuff. Yeah.
It's
I mean,
awesome.
you're going to different cities and you're sleeping on people's floors and on their couches, and there's few years of that kind of stuff going on.
So great.
Yeah, but then you had this song that hit Billboard, and that it sounds like. I mean, tell us about that.
Well, before I finish the other segment, this is the 40th anniversary of our very first record that we put out as Red Rockers. It was put out in 1982.
Okay.
So coming this next year's 40th anniversary, we're remastering it and all that stuff right now. So anyway, onward. During the time we put out that album and Good as Gold, there was a big tipping point thing that happened with our 415 Records, the one that put out our first record, became a subsidiary of CBS, Columbia. Now this is big to do. Now you have all those resources of money, advertising, marketing, manipulating, and you have this big machine behind you. And I can tell you just firsthand when we realized that we could possibly let's try to write the best song we can. And so that was what kind of was the impetus behind China. The rest of the album is still kind of rock and off kilter and odd, but the China was also, I got to add too. There's a lot of factors. Jim Riley, well, our first drummer Patrick Jones quit the band in between the albums also. So now we had to find a drummer. The drummer, it was so weird. I can't even explain how this works. Sorry, my dog's barking.
Sounds like my
but
dog.
it happened. It's like when we were we were on some kind of wavelength or something back then, where if something happened that was kind of, you would probably stop people in their tracks most times. We just thought it as like just an obstacle, like a little bump in the road, and just kind of, we'll figure it out. And, and it always never failed. The moment we just thought about it or made a call, the shit would fix itself. There would be somebody there to fill in. There's a drummer. There's a this, there's that, and that's kind of how everything went. It's just that we never really, we kind of became invincible in a way, feeling like we can do this. Like, look at all the shit we've been through already, We've got a new drummer, and now the new drummer brings a different style to the band. So that's going to be very important. Jim was what we call a Euro drummer. The Euro drummers back in the 80s, all they really did was that disco kind of boom, chop, boom, chop, boom, chop, boom, chop. That's a lot of, a million songs, on MTV from that era that do that. And that was what he brought to us in California. With that said, we were no longer really a punk rock band because Jim just couldn't play that style, I guess, so to speak, very well. So we decided we're going to stick with what he knows. And he was in a band called Stiff Little Finger. So we figured who we admired from Ireland. They were Irish, and we really admired them and copied their style when we first started out. So now Jim is in our band, and we're excited. And we start writing a slew of new songs, and one of them was China. And I had the idea that we were Red Rockers, and I was just thinking about, marketing or just promotion. And Red and China, and they go together. And, we could possibly, people already in Southern California already thought that we were a communist band. We'd have guys come into our apartment, like dropping off like 50 copies of the Mayday paper that would come out every night. And thinking that we were going to dispense them at our next show or whatever. Like, are you kidding? Right. Wait. Yeah. Not so far from communism is ridiculous. It's so funny.
That is crazy.
Wow.
But that was kind of, it's kind of, if you had an image like that back then in the punk days, it worked in your favor.
Sure.
For just so long, until, it wore off. But anyway, that's Red Rockers back then, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, so this year is we're saying what?
That was taken by Annie Leibovitz.
40th. Golly, are we that
Wait,
old?
What?
That was taken by Annie Leibovitz. That was the album cover.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's insane.
It's a trip. Yeah, it's a lot of little things. I'm going to nickel and dime you here with all these little things. But yeah, that was on the North Shore of the lake in New Orleans as the sun was setting at the bottom of the lake, and we were just standing on the seawall, and she just ran up. And the back is back of the album is backstage at Jimmy's Music Club in New Orleans. So yeah, we're all spread out on the couch. Yeah, she was cool. Yeah.
That's incredible.
Are you like you're like what? This is
I don't know, Jen. I don't know if I sent this. I can't remember what pictures I sent you, but I think I sent you one of us and Bruce Springsteen.
You sent me a lot of stuff. I got to show them to Brianna. She hasn't even seen all of it yet because I sent her. What did I send you? Like his accolades? Yes. Like I sent her. I said, "Here's who's coming on today," just so you can get an idea. But all the stuff on there.
Okay, so I have to chime in here. You mentioned Bruce Springsteen, and I do production, so I do concerts and tours, and I happened to do Bonnaroo one year, and Bruce Springsteen had come over to our stage to watch Citizen Cope play, and I was shocked at how tiny he was. He is a small man. I thought he was, you're so used to seeing him on stage and on the big screen, and you're like, this guy's like huge. No, he's like maybe 5 foot something. I mean, he's tiny.
Yeah, I'm 5'11", and he's probably about 5'8".
Hey, I was kind of blown away. I was not ready for that.
Yeah, it's weird. I also have the fascination of people on TV, like what they really look like. What do they really look like?
Right.
That's so
But
funny.
anyway, I got a great story to tell about him. We were playing this venue. We were on the, I think it was the U2 tour, and we played Denver, and we were playing this place called the Rainbow Music Hall in Denver. And I remember my guitar tech walked up to me towards three-quarters through the show and hands me a new guitar and says, "Hey man, don't look now, but look in the wings." And I look over in the wings, and he's standing there. I'm going, "Fucking cool! How cool is that?" And then he comes backstage after drinking a beer, and he's like, "This is when he was doing like Dancing in the Dark, and he was getting buffed up and started wearing the leather jacket and the jean jacket to get Anyway, he was pretty bowed up for a short guy, little guy. You could tell he had been working out and had pretty hard.
I can still see that video, Dancing in the Dark with Courtney Cox. Remember that video on MTV?
Yep. You and my husband should exchange Bruce Springsteen stories. His Bruce Springsteen story is basically running over the border from Mexico to United States with Born to Run or Born in the USA or whatever in his earbud, like his little stereo. What do you call it? Like the cassette?
The Walkmans?
The Walkman. I don't even know if I should be saying this because, but he's actually born in California and like Temecula, but grew up in Mexico.
Oh my gosh.
He comes through the border. And he doesn't speak a lick. Yeah, he doesn't speak a lick of English, so they didn't believe him that he was born in the United States. So he made a run for it with Bruce Springsteen in his ears. So
This is so funny.
I know we got to have him on the show to tell
Oh
this
my
story.
God.
He'll tell it way
I
better.
think this
but
is so good.
You
Victor's
got
gonna be
to.
like, "What did you say
Yeah,
on
what
my
did
show?"
you tell people? What? I
That's
know.
so good.
Well,
We may have to cut that out. I don't know.
I think it's
The second part
great.
of my story, I have part two now. So he invites us to a show at the McNichols Arena the next night. And so we all go. And after the show, they invite us to this party in the Four Seasons of the Penthouse. And a bunch of us and some CBS black tie guys, stuff, A&R people. We all go up to the party, to the thing. And, of course, the band isn't there yet. And it's just a bunch of us and people we know from the record company, and nobody's drinking yet because they have to wait till Clarence Clemens comes in and
Clarence
stirs the punch and
Clemens?
mixes it. So nobody can have a drink, nobody can do anything. Just sit still, and the party will begin in 30 minutes. So I sit down on the piano, and that's a sunken living room. I mean, it's glass ceiling to floor. It's beautiful. There's this baby grand piano, and I start sitting down and just kind of jazzing around or whatever. And next thing I know, this guy sits next to me, and it's the keyboard player for Bruce Springsteen, Roy Bittan. And we started just jamming together, just like playing boogie woogie and blues and stuff. And I had a great time. I'm still blown away to this day because to sit there and just that memory, just to sitting there playing with him. And I've got another one later. I got a bunch of stories. But anyway, the thing is that they all come in, Bruce comes in, the band, they mix the punch, all that stuff, everybody's drinking. And Bruce says something like, "Hey, I'm going to go down to my room and get my jam box. I'll be right back. We need some music to dance to." So he runs out, comes back about 10 minutes later with this little Iowa, one of those little small Iowa jam boxes.
I had one.
Big with a cassette. He comes back with that, puts it on the end table. We're talking like a big sunken living room. It's gigantic. And he's got this little jam box, and he hits play. And it says the tape's rolling about, 8-10 songs in. We're out just in the living room dancing around. Well, the next song that comes on is China. And I'm like, what? Wait, this is my song.
Wow.
I'm totally blown away. He had it on a mixtape. And he's just dancing away. doing the 80s dance.
That is so awesome. Wow.
That's just
I'm
awesome.
sure you have some like just so many great stories. You've toured with so many people. We named some of them in the beginning. Are there any more that we know about?
I can't. I have a few. I can't even do a mixed company, but we'll leave that for your X-rated version of the show another day.
That's so
That's so great. That's so great.
Just singing. You know, I have that a pretty famous story that we were on tour with U2, and the last day of the tour, there were 2 nights in Chicago at the arena where the Bulls play, basketball. Anyway, the first night was we would open, and the next night was a band called Lone Justice. And Lone Justice was a band that was coming out with a new album, had a kind of a minor hit, and they had Jimmy Iovine was their producer. So he pulled some strings and got them on the second half of this tour, which took off from Chicago and went east into New York and Boston and back down the East Coast and all the Midwest cities. Well, we started the tour with U2 in the Summit in Houston, Texas.
I graduated out of there.
Yeah. We didn't go to Dallas, which was weird. We went to, I think, El Paso. Then we went to Phoenix, Mesa, and that was the biggest crowd I'd ever played for in my life. It was like 25,000 people plus. And went to LA, played the Sports Arena for 2 nights, and then up to San Francisco. No, then San Francisco, and then we went to Hawaii. And we came back to San Francisco, and we're playing Denver, and then we're playing Idaho, and somewhere in Iowa, and then Chicago. Then Chicago, we played the first night, and the second night, first night, I thought when we were done that I had saved some acid that I bought in San Francisco, some microdot acid, little microdot purple pill. And my girlfriend had flown up from New Orleans at the time. So we both dropped acid as soon as I got off stage. You know, I'm done, tour's over, I'm going to party. You know? Well, we're watching their show, and of course on acid, the U2 show is like phenomenal. You think it's great? It's sending it to a new level. And at the end of the show, as they're going into their last song, 40, Bono gets on stage and starts talking about the band, Red Rockers, going, you know, this reminds me of a band we've been on tour with, this band, and they remind us of what it was like when we were young and hungry and ferocious and, you know, bullshit. And he says, I'm going to get them up here right now, sing this song with us. Y'all give them a big round of applause. And the place went nuts. And we all 4 go up there, and I'm tripping my balls off. And he hands me the mic like halfway through the song and says, take it, Griff. And I'm like, oh my God, you know, I'm fucking balls to the wall. And I'm singing the next verse of 40. But you know what? For some reason I pulled it off. You know, who knows?
amazing.
Divine intervention or something. Yeah. Just let
Wow.
yourself go. And it's like, but anyway, yeah, that was a pretty ballsy thing.
Epic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Wow.
Oh, yeah.
I had a question.
So
I
you're
totally
sitting there
lost
going,
it.
I was gonna ask you something about success.
Sing
but-
this song.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
I
a
was just
good
doing my
question.
best to sound like Bono. That's all I could think about. It's like just trying to sound like him.
Bono.
So anyway, yeah, that was a lot of
That's
fun.
awesome.
So one of the another part 2 of that story is about 2 weeks later, they called our tour management and said that hey, look, Lone Justice is getting booed off the stage. They're not doing so great. And we were wondering if you guys could meet us in Atlanta and do the last 4 dates with us of the tour on the East Coast. Because we're kicking Lone Justice off the tour. Of course, we were like, fucking A, dude. Wow, what an honor. You know?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Are you like an on now? Brianna, see, Brianna.
Oh wow.
I told you. I was like, you got to see
So
this.
that was,
It's so
you know,
good.
and our first, the date back was like in the Omni in Atlanta, which is no longer there. So, uh, like
Yeah,
to say I played the
Okay,
Omni before.
so this is going to segue into kind of like a serious sort of question. Here we go. You've had those types of experiences. You've opened for U2. You were part of the punk movement, like early OG, like right music industry before the record labels died and all the things, right? Let me ask you something. You've seen it all. Like, was that challenging for you being in the music industry from the beginning to where it is now? Because you've seen it evolve and change quite drastically. So,
It's quite drastic.
what was
Yeah.
challenging about that for you, or what do you prefer? I mean, do you like it better now because you have this freedom to produce in your studio right there, and
Um, I can say as I'm now older, I prefer less stress in doing this. You know, I do documentary film work and stuff, and just play stuff for movies and my own libraries, and I work on other people, do sessions for other people, and it's gratifying work because you're being creative. Uh, it's kind of weird. I can't say. I don't think it's for the better the way the record company, where the record business is gone, because anybody can. Not that this is a bad thing. I can't say it. That's why it's weird. It's on a balancing act. Like anybody can. I can produce a record in here and put it out and put it on iTunes or whatever and sell it. And I don't have to have a record company. I am a record company, and that's the positive side of that. The other is you got to really work your ass off, and you got to work social media like there's no tomorrow. I mean, you got to be on it 24/7. I can't keep up. I unfortunately, I can only do one or two at a time. The people that do like six are crazy, And then they got a new one, a TikTok, and then they got another one, and it's just seems like it's never ending. So, what I've found works best for me is just find the couple that work and stick to those, and don't worry about all the other ones. Don't worry about do Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, and just call it a day. Don't worry about TikToks and Reddit.
Yeah.
I just can't get.
I agree with you on that. I agree 100% on
just
that.
go where your audience is. I don't
Yeah.
think your audience is on TikTok.
Nah.
No,
Yeah.
no. Well, it's funny. I was leaving Houston one day. This was probably about 2-3 months ago, and I had the Uber driver take me to the airport. It's like 4 in the morning. I had an early flight. And somehow we got on the subject of TikTok because he saw I had guitars with me and stuff in the trunk. And so, you're a musician. I said, are you on TikTok? And I said, no. He goes, man, he got to be this whole diatribe the whole way to the airport, like 30 minutes, about why I should be on TikTok and what it's done for him and all this stuff. And I was like,
Oh wow.
oh man,
Yeah.
dude. I'm just tired just thinking about TikTok.
I lose sleep over TikTok too.
Yeah, it's a different monkey. Like you got to learn to just like break
Yeah.
the stuff down, take the work and just bite it into pieces and then layer it. That's what I'm learning with TikTok is you just chunk it down, layer it.
Yeah,
So yeah.
it's a different form of grassroots than it was
Mhm.
back in the 70s and 80s. When we
Mhm.
first started. Back then, they didn't even have CDs or DVDs.
Right.
In 1979 and in 1980. And I produced my first solo CD called Son of an Engineer. And there was no option for CDs. It was just vinyl. You got a vinyl or you got a cassette.
Right.
And I, in fact, have some right here. Oh my God, look at this.
My aerobics tapes used to be on cassettes. The thing when I taught aerobics, I had
On
cassettes.
VHS or cassette?
Cassettes. And then I went to CD.
Oh,
I got
yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Look at that. Yep.
That's awesome.
Yep.
That is so cool.
I had several. I had lots of those.
At the low price of $8.99. Look at that.
Does that say Sound Warehouse?
Sound Warehouse.
Yes, it did.
It's
Isn't that
so great.
on the Warehouse Records?
Oh,
Warehouse Records. That's so great.
Great.
That's so great.
I'm
So,
somewhere in New Orleans.
John Thomas, I want to ask you one more question here. I feel like we could be like talking forever. You have so many great stories, and like I know Brianna's in awe, like I am. It's awesome. If you were going to offer, and you said some great things in the beginning, but I just want to kind of touch upon this. If you were going to offer some advice, maybe to somebody that is kind of starting out, because like Brianna said, you've expanded several decades here and different types of music and kind of weathered through all of it. What kind of advice would you offer somebody starting out?
I would just say be persistent, believe in yourself, believe that your product is, well, first of all, really learn what you're trying to do. Songwriting is objective and subjective, and you can just, I would, starting out, what I did was I listened to other songs on the radio and I would play along and learn them. It's just a great way to kind of exercise, get muscle memory with your hands on the guitar or whatever, singing. Do your due diligence. You got to put in the time. Sing the harmony parts. That's what I used to do on songs, because that's how I learned to sing harmony, because I just thought that was the funnest thing to do at the time. But other than that, just be positive. Just don't get. You can do this. I mean, the DIY movement is still here. You can still do this on your own. You don't need. I don't feel that you really need to personally beyond like the what's the mass singers and all that stuff. The idols and things. They're great. They're great dreamers. That. It reminds me of like there's these companies in the music business that there's one called Taxi. They're basically these in between the music and the makers and the film producers and directors. So they hook up songs and stuff to the music, the film music supervisors, TV music supervisors, and that's how sometimes you get your stuff and you get mailbox money from publishing. So if you can get into that
Mailbox
game,
money.
the drag is that most of those things, like Taxi, they cost you like $400 a year. This is, in my opinion, is a ripoff, dude. You can do it better. You can do it on your own if you really put your nose in the grindstone. That's what I feel. But it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. It's not easy.
Yeah. So when's Cowboy Mouth coming back to Texas? So I can get Brianna and Chris there.
Glad you asked. I'm glad you asked. November 4th, we're playing the Granada Theater.
Hey, let's go.
There you go.
That's great.
It is. It is.
And then I think the next night on the 5th, I believe it's Austin, Texas, at whatchamacallit.
Okay, well, we're going to be at the Granada November 4th, so we need to get this on our planners. Yeah. Hello, Chris, on your planner. Backstage passes, please. Well, we're coming.
Well, just email me beforehand, and I'll take care of you.
Awesome. We're excited. Well, I want to say, you know what? Thank you for coming on here today, sharing all your amazing stories. Yeah, we'll have to get you back on another time when you've got another. What do you got coming out? You've got something else you're working on right now, another album, right? You have something?
Well, I'm working on another album, but I'm also I've been busy doing a song for a buddy of mine in Philadelphia, just adding guitars and Hammond and piano, and just
awesome
sugar candy for for songs. So.
Very good.
All right, a little magic dust.
Yeah. This has been awesome. Well, we're going to be there on the 4th, so we're getting it in our planner. I will be reaching out to you so we can let Brianna actually meet you in person off this web app here. So,
so
fun
great. So nice to meet you. Thanks for being on the show.
Absolutely.
I'll tell you the X-rated stories in person.
Perfect.
We won't do them one here.
Sounds good. Well, thank you for sharing stories with us here. I think this has been amazing. I know Chris and Brianna have had a great time, so we want to say thank you to that. And of course, where do we send our people to find you if they want to learn more about what you're doing? Website? Where do you want us to tell them to go to?
They can go to my Facebook. I have 2 Facebook pages. One is just my personal, and there's one that's called John Thomas Griffith Music page.
Okay.
And I have YouTube page, John Thomas Griffith. Just type in my name, and it'll take you to my pandemic fireside sessions that I did at the beginning of the pandemic.
Okay.
And there's like 35 of them, I think, 35 tunes. And then johnthomasgriffith.com.
There you go. We'll make sure when this goes out, we get everything tagged in the right place and the website and all that on there. So,
Right.
it's
And my
fun.
posters there's a poster in the post office.
Awesome.
Posters. There's a
Awesome.
reward for me. That's good.
Good.
Well, thanks, guys. Thanks,
Yes.
Chris.
Yeah. All right.
Thanks, Chris.
We want to tell our listeners, of course, if you enjoy our podcast, please be sure you give us a rating both on iTunes and Facebook, because we can't do this without you, and hit that subscribe button.
And head over to startergirls.com.
These girls are hot.
Head over to startergirls.com, pick up that gift so we can keep in touch. And also, don't forget to check out foundationforchoice.org. Foundationforchoice.org. It's kind of hard to say. They're looking for mentors for their high school students and also volunteers for the TCU football games this fall. So if that sounds like something that will pique your interest, head over to foundationforchoice.org today and check it out.
All right. That was good. I just had too much excitement here.
I
We can't get the
know.
words out, you know? All right. We want to leave you guys.
Hey, I
with-
got a question.
Yes.
I got a question.
What?
There is a
Question.
hand.
Hands up. The hand is up.
Where did you get the name Starter Girls, and what is it?
Oh,
and
okay.
represent?
I'll tell you really quick, and this would be good because our audience may not even know. So, because we are about a movement, an empowerment movement. And so it's like two girls come together and create this whole movement. And it's all about showing people that they can change the trajectory of their lives by making a decision. So, and then we have,
As simple as that.
yeah, and we have a give back component, which we partnered up with a foundation that works with At Youth Risk here in the Dallas area, and so we help support them in their events and
Awesome.
helping young kids
Awesome.
get through college.
Right on. Yeah.
So,
Well, I got to tell you, when I saw the DVD, The Secret, I didn't think about that. First thing I thought was like I could think of all these things in my past, down through the years, like you were talking about in the beginning of Red Rockers and beginning in high school. And because I wanted to be honest with you, I wanted to be a baseball player. I wanted to play baseball. I played through high school, and when I moved to New Orleans, I got redshirted, and well, that's another story. I went into music. So it's weird how things happen like that kind of push you into this other trajectory, whatever you want to call it. And then so I never even thought about it. But once I saw The Secret, I could think back and say, oh yeah, I remember thinking about that and it happened.
mm-hmm.
I remember thinking about that and it happened. I remember thinking about that and it happened. So yeah, I go, oh, I remember thinking about that. God, I hated that it happened. That was a bad thought, but you got to be careful what you wish for.
Right.
Basically what I'm saying. But it works. It works. And I think that the three original members of Red Rockers, we were all high school buddies, lived in the same neighborhood. I think we were so on the same page as what we wanted and how to get it, and would do anything to get it and would not give up our buddies. It was a collective energy. I cannot tell you. I've never felt since.
Hey, listen, when we see you in November, you're going to have to tell us more stories. We're going to have
Okay,
to
I will.
We're going to go out after. We're going to tell more stories because I know you've got lots of them there. And I think it's awesome. I think it's great. Thanks for sharing all this with us. It's been incredible. But I do want to say to our listeners really quick, growth is painful.
Oh, there's the time in band camp? No, I'm kidding. Sorry.
That's good. I've seen those too. Growth is painful. Change is painful. But nothing is as painful as staying stuck where you don't belong.
That's right, baby.
And all right, and in order to have success, you must start, and every start begins with a decision. You guys take care, be safe, and be kind to one another. We will see you next time.